Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into a really fascinating collection of theological sources, all centered on one powerful concept: unconditional forgiveness.
Yeah, and the core claim they make is, well, it's pretty absolute. The sources essentially say that no transgression is too great for God to forgive.
Right.
They use this language that his mercy is stronger than our shame and wider than the distance we create when we wander.
So our mission today is to really unpack the arguments and the stories they use to back up this extraordinary claim of boundless grace.
And what's interesting is where they start. They immediately try to dismantle what you might call a transactional relationship.
You mean like an if I do this, I get that kind of model?
Exactly. We're sort of programmed to think in terms of earned favor, but these texts state very clearly that divine love is not a response to what we do. It's an expression of who God is.
So your good works can't earn it, but maybe more importantly, your mistakes can't erase it.
Precisely. That's the core of it. And that reframes the whole relationship, doesn't it? It moves it from a kind of contract to something inherent.
But then what about accountability? What about justice? How do the sources handle that side of the coin?
Well, that's where they pivot to history. They argue that the pattern has always been one of restoration, not just condemnation. They point to the story of Israel.
Forgiven again and again.
Again and again, despite, as the sources put it, repeated wandering. And they don't just stop there with large groups. They get very personal.
Like with David.
Yes, exactly. David, who committed these grievous sins, we're talking murder, deceit, and yet he was restored, not, passed aside.
And then there's the even more extreme example they bring up, Paul.
Paul is maybe the most dramatic case study. The sources are so specific. They call him the persecutor, the violent enemy of the church.
So he wasn't just someone who disagreed. He was an active antagonist.
He was. And his transformation is used as this ultimate proof that your starting point doesn't matter. The invitation actually runs toward the broken, not away from them.
And you can't forget Peter either. After denying Jesus 3 times, he's not just forgiven, he's given a leadership role. It's a constant pattern.
It is. And all of these historical examples, they're all leading up to their central piece of evidence.
Which is the cross.
The cross. They frame it as this eternal reminder that God came close to sinners while they were still far off, still rebellious. The script is completely flipped.
Right. It wasn't fix yourself, then I'll receive you.
No, the invitation was simply, come to me, and I will give you rest. It removes all the prerequisites.
Which brings us to what the sources call a precious gift, the story of the thief on the cross. Think about his position.
He had no time left, no righteous works to show for himself, nothing.
Nothing to offer but one last desperate cry.
Lord, remember me. That's it. A humble request.
And the response is immediate, unconditional. Today you will be with me in paradise. The sources hold that up as the final proof. Forgiveness is received, not purchased.
So the main takeaway from these texts for you listening seems to be that the invitation is to come just as you are.
Broken, weary, uncertain, repentant. The state you're in doesn't disqualify you.
Yeah. It seems the whole point is that the size of your failures just doesn't measure up to the size of the grace being offered.
And it leaves us with a pretty profound question to think about.
It does. If this theological view holds that the same Savior who heard the thief on the cross hears you now, what does it really mean to consider that kind of unstoppable mercy? Especially if you feel your own past is too dark or your failures are too many. What action, or maybe what lack of action, is actually required to accept something so freely given?